He is risen. He is risen indeed. That is what is being proclaimed everywhere on Easter Sunday morning. But saying he is risen and meaning it can be difficult, because it can feel like just something we say, but not the reality that we're living in, when the world that we are in feels completely and utterly out of control, and when my life personally feels like chaos on steroids. When I'm looking at my media feed, I'm seeing things about wars and rumors of wars. I'm seeing people that are angry with each other. I'm seeing polarized groups that want to attack the other person. And everyone who's not just like me becomes an enemy. And then my friends and my family have all kinds of things going on. Things that are heartbreaking, things that are discouraging, things that are scary. And things that if I could, I would be there helping. And so I'm torn in all kinds of different directions at the same time. And then I have those people that come to me, both my friends and my family, and those that do it professionally, that want me to share in their suffering and in their heartache. As I get pulled into an office to hear about someone who has 3 family members who are fighting cancer. As a child comes up to whisper about some of the things that are happening in their home. As another person comes, totally at a loss, because the systems that were supposed to protect them are enabling their abuser. And I get to help carry it. And when all these things are going on, I found myself longing for a place where it would just be quiet. If just for a little bit I could escape the world that I'm in for something that's different. And I don't see anywhere else to go, because everywhere is just as out of control as my little circle of life. And it leaves me with a feeling of heaviness. Does life feel heavy to you sometimes right now? And if I was to go back into my psychology classes, I'd probably have to label what I'm feeling as grief. That I feel this grief because I've lost something. I've lost a sense of what I thought the world would be like. I've lost a sense of what my dreams would be, of what my life would accomplish. I've lost a sense of control, really, is what it comes down to. That what I think I'll be able to do and what I actually am able to do are not the same thing. What I think I'm able to influence and what I'm actually able to influence are not the same thing. And I end up being on this playground spinner that I went to when I went to my grandparents. That's what I feel like when my life is like. You ever had one of those? They're not around anymore, but they were the circles with the bars on them, and you'd run around the outside to see how fast you could get it until you would fly off. I don't know why they don't exist anymore, right? But the object was, if you wanted to stay on and you didn't want to just let go, then you had to hold tighter and tighter onto that bar, almost cutting the circulation out of your hands so that the forces wouldn't push you off into oblivion. That's what I feel like sometimes. And so today, if you can relate and you feel discouraged or overwhelmed, if anxiousness and uncertainty define your day-to-day life, if you're just tired of being out of control and living in the chaos of life right now, then this message is for you. And I wonder if, like me, when you feel out of control, it can make you frantic. In other words, in order to try and gain a sense of control, we just get busier and we do more and we do it faster because this urgency takes place inside of us. That we need more control, and because we're as soon as we get a hold of more, then we're afraid of losing that control, so we've got to do more to keep that control, and then we're afraid of losing that control, so we've got to do more to keep that control, and we end up in this cycle where we're just working harder all the time, and we're trying to do more than we did the day before, and people ask us how we're doing, and our answer is always, I'm busy. Good, but busy. I'm okay, but I just don't have enough time for everything that's going on in my life because I have to do it all to have control. And our frantic, hurried lives feel a lot like Easter morning in the Scriptures. Today we're going to look at the account from the book of John. And it kind of focuses in on three of the people that were closest to Jesus that morning. To say they'd been on a roller coaster over the last week would be too soft of a description of what they'd experienced. We'll start with Mary Magdalene. Now, Mary had found Jesus, or been found by Jesus, really, when she was possessed by 7 demons. And instead of throwing her away, he cast the demons out that she might come back again. And she was so grateful for being freed from that dark place that she followed Jesus with the rest of her life. I mean, she followed him wherever he went. She would go. She would work to organize so that other people could come and be there too. She would fund the missions that took place and keep things going. And she used her connections, her skills, her support to be as close to the Jesus who had freed her as she could possibly be, because she never wanted to be away from him again. And so she watched this past week as the shouts of triumph on Palm Sunday turned to shouts of crucify him by Thursday. She watched as the piece of wood that he was going to be nailed to, he had to carry up the hill along the road, all the way being spit on and mocked and hit and things thrown at him. She was there as he was nailed and hung up in the air between heaven and earth on this cross to die. The whole time, I imagine she's thinking, how could they do this? How could they do this to the one who set people like her free? How could they do this to someone who had the power that he had? Why was he even letting this take place? And with everything out of control, she grabbed the only control she could. As he was brought down off of the cross, she got to work caring for the body, helping to get it to the tomb, being willing to be associated with Jesus at this time was risky, because what happened to him could happen to them. And yet she couldn't do anything else but just go and do what she could until time ran out, and then she had to wait over the Sabbath until Easter morning to be able to do anything again. And as John records it, listen to the frantic pacing that she was living in. Early on Sunday morning, while it was still dark. Did you catch that? She couldn't even wait for the sun to come up. She had to leave as early as she could. There wasn't time to waste. They could have done things wrong. They may not have finished what they needed to on Friday, and so they had to get there now to do something about it. And so early Sunday morning, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb and found that the stone had been rolled away from the entrance. Things were not how she was expecting them to be. They weren't how they were supposed to be. He was supposed to be sealed in this place with Roman guards out front and a body lying in the tomb. And instead, no guards, and a tomb that's supposed to be sealed is wide open. And so the frantic pace continues as things get more and more out of control. She ran. And she ran and found Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one whom Jesus loved, that's John. And she said, "They have taken the Lord's body out of the tomb, and we don't know where they have put him." So she ran to Peter and to John, kind of the two kind of de facto leaders of this motley group that was left after Jesus. And when she finds them in some places of just brokenness. Peter has shame on top of his grief. In his hasty decisions to grab for control during the past week, he's done some things that he knows broke Jesus' heart. When people came to arrest Jesus and Jesus was ready to go and do this final work he had to do, Peter was not. And so, thinking he was doing the right thing, he grabbed his sword and hastily cut off a guy's ear, only to have Jesus heal it right back in front of him. Later that very night, he was scared to admit that he knew Jesus 3 times, even in front of a little girl. And after the 3rd time, Jesus looked right at him because he had predicted that this is what Peter would do. And Peter, overwhelmed, ran away, crying and weeping. John, who was one of Jesus' most loved, which is why he calls himself that, was probably the most sensitive of the disciples. He was possibly the only one of the 12 to actually witness the crucifixion at the foot of the cross. To actually have been there as Jesus died. Can you imagine the heartache? This one that he had followed for 3 years, lived with day in and day out, believed was going to turn the world upside down and reshape everything, was now dead and buried. What was he supposed to do now? And so in their desire to regain some sort of control, they did the same thing that Mary had done. They frantically got to work and they ran too. Peter and the other disciple started out for the tomb. They were both running, but the other disciple outran Peter and reached the tomb first. There's always hurry. There's never enough time when things are out of control. So the one who got there first stooped and looked in and saw the linen wrappings lying there. But he didn't go in. Then Simon Peter arrived and went inside, and he noticed that the linen wrappings were lying there, while the cloth that had covered Jesus' head was folded up and lying apart from the other wrappings. Then the disciple who had reached the tomb first also went in, and he saw and believed. For until then they still hadn't understood the scriptures that said Jesus must rise from the dead. And then they went home. In the middle of their franticness, when everything seemed like chaos and nothing was going their way and everything was lost, John records this small detail. He describes the tomb in a way that kind of eliminates this idea that Jesus' body was just stolen. You see, the Jewish people had learned some embalming when they were in Egypt, but instead of doing it on the inside of the body, they did it on the outside. So they would wrap like 100 pounds of spices on the outside of the body, wrapped it up in expensive linen to help with the embalming and the smell, honestly. And all of that is still there laying on the grave bed. It almost looks untouched the way it's described. And any thief worth anything would come and have taken that because it was so valuable. I mean, that's, a lot, and they would have wanted all of that with them. And besides, if you're stealing a body, why steal a naked corpse and drag that around when you can at least have it wrapped up in something? And yet, there was also this face covering that was a handkerchief, basically. And you would put it over the face for 2 main reasons. One, for the dignity of the deceased. And the second was, if by some miracle they had got it wrong and he or she was still alive, then when the breath returned, the handkerchief would move and hopefully somebody would notice it. But that wasn't the case this time, because they had done the check on the cross to make sure Jesus was really and truly dead. Because if he wasn't and they took him down, then it was the Roman centurion and the soldiers' lives that would be forfeited. And so in the tomb was the linen laying there, and then this handkerchief, not lying with the linen, but separate from it, and folded neatly. What kind of thief has time to fold something like that before they run off? And this is the first slowed down moment in the Easter morning story. Everyone else is running. Nobody has enough time. And yet this is like making my bed, which I am terrible at and have always been terrible at, because when I look at it, I feel like I'm wasting my time, right? Like I'm going to be right back tonight. I'm going to mess it up. I've got my covers. I know exactly where I'm supposed to slide back in. And you want me to make my bed and to fold these sheets. I'm way too busy to do that because I have so many other things I need to get to that just those few moments feel like a waste. And don't even get me started on throw pillows coming on top of that. You mean I'm going to have to move these pillows every night, but I never get to sleep on them or use them? What is the point? And yet one of Jesus' first resurrected actions is to carefully fold a cloth and place it separate from the linens. Where is Jesus in the midst of our out-of-control lives? He's not just simply doing laundry. While everyone else, including you and me, are frantic, he is unbothered. We feel rushed, but he has got time. You see, Jesus defeated sin and death. In the moment that he came back, there was nothing and no one that could hold him down ever again. All authority in heaven and on earth was given to him, even over the grave. He now has the keys of heaven and hell. All of it is his. He's not desperately running to escape death and has to get out of that grave as fast as possible before death grabs him by the ankles and pulls him back in. He is in control. And so he takes his time to fold the grave cloth, something that he is now and forevermore done with, and place it right there. And the disciples show up and they haven't even seen Jesus yet in their frantic chaos of it all. And yet Jesus leaves for them this symbol that they look in and they see this handkerchief off to the side. Someone took time to deal with. And it's as if he is saying to them, death no longer has dominion over me or over you. Why are you so busy rushing when you have forever to look forward to? You see, the folded cloth declares that in an out-of-control world, Jesus is in control. He is not rushed. He is not worried. He is not discouraged. He does not need defended. He is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And he has paid for everything on the cross. And death could not hold him. And devil couldn't keep him down. And the same Jesus who rose that day is alive now in the middle of our chaotic lives. And if we could slow down just a little bit and be still, we would know that he is God. And we would see signs of his presence and his power in our lives. Signs like the beauty of a sunrise, or the warmth of a mother's hug, or a stranger paying for groceries. We would realize that the breath that we have each new day, even on those days when we're not sure if we want to breathe, is his showing up in our lives to tell us that he is not done with us yet. And that whatever it is we're going through, he has got us. As we hurry to gain control, the risen Jesus wants to remind us that he is the one in control. So I don't have to hold on as tight. And I don't have to rush from one thing to the next. and feel hurried and feel urgent about everything, because He is the one who can do something about it. He is the one who has the ability to break the chains that bind me down. And I don't care what those are, whether they're alcoholism or racism, whether it's an addiction that you've been carrying for years, or some shame that you just can't seem to shake from what was done to you or what you did in your past. He can set you free. Because He is the one in control, He can heal all the stuff that's broken. 7 demons are nothing for Him to clear out. So whether it's your mind or your heart or your body, whether it's a relationship you feel is gone forever, Jesus can do something about it. Not because you've worked your way through it and white-knuckled, but because He is the one in control. He is the one with the authority. And even if life is still hard, even in those moments when there's still tears and still things to cry about, sin and death no longer own you anymore. You have something to hold on to that's real and doesn't require you to do it all on your own. In Tim Keller's last book, he talks about the resurrection and the life to come. And he says, the power by which God will finally destroy all suffering, evil, deformity, and death at the end of time has broken into history now and is available, partially but substantially, now. When we unite with the risen Christ by faith, that future power that is potent enough to remake the universe comes into us. This is the promise of Easter. And it's even more poignant, I think, to know that Tim is writing this while he's battling a cancer that he knows is going to take his life. Barring an incredible miracle, his days are numbered. And so he and his wife would often get to the end of the day as they sit and spend time together and cry, both in sorrow for the shortness of the time that he had left with her, and also in joy and thankfulness for the time they had spent together so far. And in the middle of the tears, they would often ask each other this: is Jesus really alive? And the other one would respond, yes. And the reply back would be, if Jesus is alive, no matter what I feel right now, I am good. What about you? If you're at a place where your life seems out of control and you are frantically trying to grasp for it, He is the one with authority. And if He is alive, you can be good, even when everything else seems crazy. And you can unite with the one who has time to fold a handkerchief, because death and the grave are defeated now and forevermore. And that same one can come to you right where you are and heal you by giving you a new life, right in those places that you think are the most dead and the most broken. He can come and, because of what He's done on the cross, forgive you of anything that you feel guilt and shame over, and wash it away, knowing that the one who could hold it against you has decided to let it go. In fact, to toss it into what He calls the sea of forgetfulness. And when you don't know who you are or where you belong, you can unite with Him and be adopted into His family, to become His child, and to be known by the Creator of the universe in such a way that you will know who you are and what you are to do. The next part of the Easter story, every one of these people slow down just enough that Jesus shows up right on time, right where they need him to be. And so my prayer is that you and I would slow down enough. We're trying to control everything so much, that we would let him come. And as we unite with him, we would let his authority do what only he can do in those places that are completely out of control and lost in our lives. Father, we pray that you would work your resurrection power in us. Help us to see that you have got it. That nothing and no one is greater than you, and you have the authority and the power to do something about anything that is bringing us down in our lives. And even if we don't see you do something in the moment or in the next day or the next month or next couple of years, we know that if you are alive, then we connected to you will always be good. And the best will always be yet to come until we are face to face with you. And Lord, for those who do not know what that means yet but want it, I pray that they would join me in praying this. And my words would personally become theirs. Heavenly Father, thank you for sending your Son because you love me. That even though you saw me at my worst, that didn't stop you from giving your life for me on the cross. Please forgive me for the things I've done that have broken your heart, or the things I've done that have pushed me away from you. But I believe that you are alive. And so give your life to me as I offer my life to you. Clean the slate between us, that I can come home and be your child and become more and more like you and more who I have always been intended to be. Make me new today. Amen.